Welcome today to a very special lady, Simona Moir, Intuit yoga therapist, international best-selling author and speaker, a woman of light, of energy, and that deep sort of wisdom that we can really feel does go way back. So welcome, Simona. Can I ask you to start maybe with sharing a little bit of your life story and to how it has brought you to what you are doing nowadays and why that's important to you before we get on to the very important topic of talking about the purpose of our menopause. So a totally different angle. Over to you, Simona.
Wonderful. Yes, so I was born in Germany in a kind of like small holding farm thing, winery and things like that. So we were quite hands-on. And what was fairly early apparent is that I was not normal, whatever normal is. My granny was not normal either. So I was really blessed that otherwise it could have gone really wrong. They would maybe call it the alternative brain or something like that. Now it would be diagnosed, but I see energy. So when you speak, the whole world has like an energy field attached to it when I look at it. And when you speak, your energy changes. And I can also hear what you're not saying. So I
Wow.
hear what you suppress. So try that in school, in middle
Mm.
school or
Oh,
something like
gosh.
that, right? So I it took a long time for me to learn to respond not to what you're not saying, but to what actually comes out of your mouth, which is much quieter for me to hear. And when there's a lot of noise in my head or around, I can really only hear what you suppress. Imagine that.
Goodness.
You put
Goodness.
your foot in wherever you go.
Yes.
So, and it took me a while to kind of like get my head around it. And I've learned being a yoga therapist and an energy healer. So I could put something on the door that would look
Right.
be somehow mainstream without being burned at the stake or something like that. So
Yes.
it's just like, what can I learn which would look acceptable? And it was really interesting around 2012 when this big shift apparently happened and no one really noticed it happened. Well, let me tell you, it happened. So
Yes.
because from before to after was a marked difference in energy. Before, if someone on a bus would ask me what I do here and I would tell them that I do yoga therapy, they would kind of like go with their energy like that. After 2012, and I would say exactly the same thing, they would go with their energy like that.
Oh, how
Tell me more.
interesting.
And it was so marked, and it still is. People are much more open to talk
Mm.
about energy. They want to know about their past lives and things,
Exactly.
which I don't do. I think there's plenty to do in this lifetime. You don't need to clutter things up. I like things simple. I have to have things simple. And
Yes.
that one of my superpowers when working with menopausal women, they need it simple. They're
Yes.
told that they don't even know they are of the most powerful opportunity of their life.
Wow, what a way to talk about it. There's most of us moaning about weight gain and hot flushes and feeling
Mhm.
anxiety and depression and up and down. And, basically it's like adolescence in reverse sort of thing, which is the way that I tend to look at it. I think, well, look, I feel blessed to be a woman. I remember my eldest son once saying to me, oh gosh, I'm so glad I'm not a girl or a woman. I was saying, well, why? And he was talking about periods and childbirth and all of that sort of stuff. And I was thinking, I would not ever have changed it for anything else. I feel entirely blessed to be a woman, to have cycles. I'm one of the lucky ones who did have children. Not all women do, but I mean, I had 3 beautiful children. And to me, that's the biggest gift or miracle that I could do. And I just accept the fact that what you have comes with this on and off, and it went up and now it's going down, and that's also part of it. But I love what you've just said. I thought that is a very beautiful way of looking at it. But to finish off with you, Simona Moir, so you're German, you actually live in Glasgow, and
Mhm.
so this, having always known that you were different, and the gratefulness that at least your grandmother could reassure you that you're okay, that you don't feel totally, I imagine, alienated from other people, and not understanding why you can hear and see things, and that it must have been extremely scary as a child and as an adolescent as well. But to see you glowing here, well, for those who will be following via YouTube, you can see that you certainly own all of your gift. You really are a woman of light. I'm actually recording this at a time when I've had lots of ups and downs, and I can just feel your light energy. Right. So what you've just described, is that what you refer to as being an Intuit?
That is literally being into it. And that's the difference between being an empath.
Okay.
You can kind of like feel what other people feel, like feel
Yes.
with.
Yes.
And into it is kind of like being told the things you don't like to hear.
Right.
So, and
Right.
that you're suppressing so much that someone that's empathic might not even notice.
Right. And you actually coach people, right? People come to you with confusion and things like that, and you help them listen and see what they're not listening and seeing.
So I could just be like the clairvoyant or something like that and tell you what you're suppressing. And I probably have done that earlier in life with not necessarily working with menopausal women. Menopausal women are different. They need to learn how to find their own innate inner wisdom. There's no point in me telling you what you're suppressing. There's no value in it. It might look great and I might kind of like blow you away and things like that. I'm so over that. I'm not, so
I know exactly what you're saying.
yeah. So we're doing a month program that I usually do, and that works for most people. A month is enough. And in that month, I will make you hear what I hear in you.
Right.
And we will fine tune your receiver so you can receive you beyond the noise of hormones that are trying to throw you curveballs and trying to tell you things that are not true.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
To see beyond the rest. We're going to talk about the purpose of your menopause, etc. But I'm just intrigued by how you do this as a job. What would you say it then gives the people who come, I suppose you call them, your clients who come to you because they're struggling with menopause in one form or another?
Yeah, so there's different stages. So some people are more like in survival mode. And that's what most people get wrong with mentorship and kind of like coaching. So they are in survival mode, but think they're not.
Right.
And then they would like to grow. They put all their money and all their attention into trying to better themselves. So
Right.
if you're in survival mode, growth is not an option.
Yes.
So we need to first get you out of survival mode, and then we get you into growth. So there's different programs to get you out of survival mode. But if you were to be on the brink of being this amazing creator and you just know you're just getting something wrong here, but you're a manifester, you have a gift, but you don't quite know how to use it yet. Like a
Right.
bit like Merlin's things going
Yeah.
wrong.
But this is fantastic because this is totally in line with the whole raison d'etre, let's say, of this podcast. Whereas I thought, we were going to be talking more about the technicalities, of coping with. But I mean, it is all about saying, okay, 50 plus, who am I, and really owning all of who we are, accepting the past as well, and seeing through the limitations that we thought that we had, but all with this idea of growth, or at least of filling the space, the whole space of who we are. But the fact that you've linked that, which I, in a way, have been seeing as separate. I have lots of topics on menopause where we talk about nutrition and, issues with alcohol or how to sports or whatever it is. And then I have the episodes about what more can we do? What can we change today? How can we feel more fulfilled by being that whole person that we know that we're here for, but maybe don't really know in which way or which path we're supposed to be going, but just a conscious that, now is the time to shine, to step into our own. But so you mix the both. You mix it's actually through being in the menopause that you will help people grow into their full being.
Yeah, it's amazing as everything is changing in your body anyway.
Yes.
If you take estrogen out and progesterone out, you're not the same person anymore.
Yes.
So same with, I work with teenagers a lot in the past as well. Everything is in metamorphosis.
Yes.
That's so true. More change isn't really that hard.
Yes.
There's
the thing is, of course, that we don't like change, do we? We're frightened by change. We're terrified by change, which is also the same thing in adolescence, right? Teenagers are terrified. Suddenly there's all this stuff happening to them, parts which are growing and hair coming out and different thoughts and different moods and different reactions to our parents and our friends. It's a very scary moment. And for us too, at 50 plus, we think that we've sussed it out. Okay, what's the right food balance, between having fun every now and then, but also feeling good in our bodies and being fit and all of that. And suddenly, what we've been doing doesn't work. Suddenly, the mind that we thought that we'd more or less got under control is moods are zooming up and down like a ratty teenager. Some are biting everybody's heads off, others are crying all day long. It's just to look beyond all of that, which is what you're doing. So you say there is a purpose then in our menopause, right? So what would you say is the purpose of our menopause?
Buckle your seatbelts.
Go for it.
So let's start. What's the purpose of childhood? Just that we can put it in perspective, because it's of life, right? So childhood is to be in creation. They're still in the quantum soup. They're still kind of completely connected. You have more brain cells being a baby than you being in your 50s anyhow, and many, many more neural pathways. And we have to prune them. And what imprints on us in our creation is our environment.
Yes.
So we are in creating our own programs.
Yes.
We are in creating our own limitations and our own powers,
Yes.
really, under 7-8. And we know, it's by our research, we know that. I can very much see that in energy when it changes. So when a child changes, and my child's now 9, that transformation, oh my God, it's just, it's heartbreaking in a way.
Yeah.
From having a meditative Buddha next to you, from, kind of like that limiting, to very, very much duality. I like, I don't like, I like, I don't like. That is very much kind of like the teenage phase.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The teenage phase is to build your opinion and to question everything. So
and
they're not
often
wrong.
done by going against the only opinion that you have liked and respected so far, which is your parents, which is why there's often this sort of adolescent crisis, of which I know a lot about. I was terrible, but it is, you have to somehow break that motherly child relationship in order to start standing on your own feet, right?
You need to figure out your own environment, and that's best by testing. So you throw things out like, I hate you, as a teenager, just to see what response, just to see, what will be the response when I say I don't care about you and I hate you? It's just affirming that you're still there, even though they are totally rotten. It's testing your trust and reliability. That's why teenage parenting is really important.
Yeah.
Really, really important. Okay, next one is kind of like your procreation phase. And it is really, you have, like, as a woman, the estrogen coming out of your ears, so you can spin all the plates, and you are a superwoman. Estrogen makes you multifaceted. You have like eyes on the back of your head. That's what estrogen does. And it's there for you to raise your children, stay safe, and basically have everything somewhat under control.
Right.
So then we're so addicted to that control that when we get into menopause and, the magical brain juice that makes us multitasking and super invincible goes away, how mean is that?
You have such a brilliant way with words. You really are expressing this so well. Yes, I'd never actually thought of it at all like that, but that's exactly what you've described. Yes.
So what would be the purpose of having the super juice taken away from you, Julie?
Well, that we then calm down and that we then aren't multitasking and doing 8 million things in parallel.
Why
right?
would you want to keep doing that?
Yeah.
It's a mad job. Everyone that has had a few kids knows it's insanity. It's enriching, it's lovely, but it is a bit mad. And where are you when you have several kids? You are invisible to your partner, invisible to your children, and you're basically the best mate on earth.
Yes.
So it's our gift from the universe to take that away, to let our kids grow up and to give back. This is creation time. This is our kind of like conscious teenage years where we can get to know what we are, who we
That's
are.
it. It's our creation as a woman and not as a mother or as a partner. It's our own. Yeah.
It's real liberty from slavery. So why would you complain? you
Yeah.
know. But the more hooked you are to that multitasking, controlling mother, the
Mm.
more ouch it will be to not have that anymore.
Yes. Yes.
And the more you can see that this is actually your time to create what you want,
Yes.
the more symptoms lower. This is balancing hormones, like working, doing the inner work in line with energetic work changes your hot flushes. And hot flushes are also completely misunderstood. Completely.
Okay.
I have had men tell me that after their wife, having spoken about menopause and having worked with me, that they're jealous that they're not a woman. How cool is that?
Yes.
Right? And
But
all
so
the
what
hot
is your take on? Yes, I'm
yeah,
curious now.
hot, hot flashes. So the burn, fire is the transformational force of of the four elements. So it really can just transform into new form, so metamorphosis. So the hot flashes, the more you're still in that old controlling, trying to
Mm.
multitask, the more hot flashes you will have. And there's research on that.
It's like
So
frustration in a way, then, isn't it? It's almost like
it
a bubble of
burns the
frustration because
old
you're not
bridge,
having.
and
Yeah,
then you build the bridge again, and then it
yeah,
burns it again, and you build the bridge again, and it burns it again. Right? We're understanding, well, let's keep that bridge burned because you will be super efficient, but in a different way.
yeah.
So, what you have never experienced before in your life being a woman is the testosterone
Mm-hmm.
and not having that, that seeing everything moving everywhere, seeing a little
Yeah,
feather blow at the other
yes,
side of the
yes.
room, you know. So, it's like single focus.
Right.
I know people think you don't have that because of brain fog, but again, by the time I'm done with you, you have single focus.
Yeah.
It's
But
really
it's a mindset around the whole thing anyway, isn't it? I mean, even, on a much lower level than what you're talking about, we fight our menopause, right? We moan about it, we
totally.
complain about it, we're in fear of the next. I'm okay with hot flushes, but I know lots of my friends are like, oh gosh, I've got this meeting. I just so hope I'm not going to suddenly, melt in there or whatever. So there is a lot of anxiety and energy put into fighting it, fearing it, dreading it, whatever. And I think that when you then maybe do what you're saying and recognize it as one of the beautiful, purposeful parts. I think lots of us see it as a necessary evil, right? In order to have our children and to have all of that, okay, we have to go through menopause. That's, I think, my insight. So I don't fight it. I just accept that, yes, what goes up has to come down, and that, that's just the way it is, and then it's fine, it's okay, it's a different phase, I'm learning something new out of it. But I don't actually see it as a superpower. I don't see it as the next step in the goddess, of being a woman.
Yeah.
So I very much like what you're saying here, because then when you go with the flow, you're one with it, so you're not knocking against it the whole time. So I think a lot of the anxiety and the stress in energy then goes away, and that you just, it's all in mindset. We can't change the facts. It's the estrogen's going to leave. That's the way our bodies are created on a biological level as well, if we're not even talking about the spiritual level. So if we actually embrace it and enjoy it and wake up every day curious about what we're feeling, and trying to listen to what's it saying to you. And I love that what you're saying, because I also talk a lot in my episodes about giving back, about finally we have that time to think about us and not just putting everybody else in the planet Earth first. We start to, and we think of our legacy. What do I want to give back? And I remember you had a beautiful sentence. What was it? The elder is dreaming up the future for the generation to
Well, do
follow.
you want to
I
we
listened to you.
yeah. So we just go like, so the next phase, so what's past menopause? Menopause is one moment. It's
Oh yes,
complete.
that's
We
right.
even we drag it out into the never ending. It's the day,
Yeah.
1 year after your last period. It's all just menopause. And that's
Yes.
how we use our words to make it kind of like this never ending curse
True.
rather than actually a transition, which is like, well, you will not want to miss it. So the next phase is the recreation phase.
Okay.
So we know recreation as in holiday, but recreation means that you are like using creation for you. You're recreating, you're filling yourself up so you can create. So it becomes much more. And what I wanted to say, what you just said, and that's what everyone says working in the mindset business, and it triggers me. It's like
Go.
if you can just be positive,
Yeah.
everything will be fine. Nonsense. It's not about suppressing your worries, your fear, your something. Like that is what most people do that can't see energy.
Right.
This is not about just wake up in the morning and be happy and everything will be fine. It does not work. It will backfire.
I didn't mean it that way. I meant that from the point of view that we use our mind to look at it as a gift and not as a curse,
Well,
that we are then aligned, and that so we're not suppressing anything. It just goes away because we're seeing it as something else.
well, what if it doesn't go away?
The frustration and the
Yeah,
anger and all that.
yeah. So, like, what I do is kind of like I work with the inner child and things like that. And I like to refer to as the, let's say, the anger. Imagine your child comes home from school angry, right?
Mm.
And you want to hold the space and kind of like do, and then you just stuff it full with ice cream or whatever. That's where the food things come in as well, because the food and the weight also sorts itself when you're working with me without ever talking about it. It's amazing.
Mm.
Alcohol consumption lowers without ever talking about it. If you go to the root, you don't need to fix all those different things.
Yes.
So when your child comes home, does your child need to be not angry for you to hold space?
No.
So your child is allowed to stay angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be kind of like nearly odd if they would just switch
Yeah.
anger off. It would be weird.
Yes. Now I get
But
you what
we
you mean.
but we
Yeah.
expect ourselves to just get over the anger and get on with
Right.
being positive and grateful for menopause.
I get you. So what are you suggesting?
Hold space for your anger, hold space for your
Yeah.
despair, and that's all it needs. So
And you let it run its own course. You
if you
basically
think
let it burn itself out.
exactly,
Right.
let it burn itself out.
Yeah.
And that's with all the issues, symptoms. They're just a little different approach for each symptoms, but the theory is the same and it works. So I have a great track record of working with it. So, but if you are in complete imbalance with your hormones, maybe you have taken the pill for most of your life,
Yeah.
and then there's coil and whatever, there is another layer that you need to look at. And I work with that with Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the
Ah,
oldest medicine in the world, and it's as unique as your fingerprint. So doctors take your pulse, they look into your eyes, they see your energy, at least the ones I work with, and that's why the retreat I take you to is the best I know. I've been to many. I've been to the Maya clinic, and it was nothing like this little thing where I take my clients to in October and spring for a
okay.
reset. So that's a reset if your life, or if you've had cancer, or there is a cancer scare. In my last retreat, I had a woman come with me with beginnings of skin cancer, and she wanted to cancel because she was just diagnosed. So we spoke with the doctors in Bad Ems, and they said, here, come, this is the beginning
Yeah.
of like, it might actually just sort itself. I'm not
Yeah.
promising anything, but we know and we know what to do. So we were there. She extended the retreat because she wanted to do the proper panchakarma. So she stayed a few days on. And so she was supposed to get that removed. It was just like back of her
Mm-hmm.
heart, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked with her on that, and also the repressed emotions about that, and the panchakarma that she did in Germany. And like 4 weeks after the retreat, she had her exam for the operation for treating the skin cancer. It was gone.
Wow.
And because it's not an area which she could see, it was
Yes.
really uncomfortable for the
Yes.
time
She
she
must have
wasn't
felt she
doing
was
that.
carrying like a monster on her back, sort of thing,
It was
right?
like
Yeah.
she was scared of it. She couldn't really see it.
Yeah.
Even with the mirror, she couldn't really see it. And it was like, it was really messing with her.
Well, I mean, we've got so many things to talk about. Right? We are running till the end of
Yeah.
this, but we need to make sure that we put that retreat also in the show notes. And I know you're coming back for us, right? In
Yeah.
September as well. So we must make sure that we have those in there. Now, if I ask you to just very rapidly give 3 tips you would give to people who are working on this, what would we say it's for? It's to recognize the purpose of your menopause, the 3 tips?
Yeah. And also to kind of like have a little guidance of how things feel. So
Right.
that you might need to feel into things before doing them. So going from here to there. It's just thinking about it. And you can think of it as metaphors, and you could just kind of like do it with simple things to start off with.
Okay.
There's 3 types of energy. We
Right.
can get our head around 3, right? These 3 things is all you need to know. Is you need to know when you're in resistance,
Oh, yes.
when there's like obstacles and you need to jump through the hoops.
Yes.
So resistance, there's good resistance and there's bad resistance, right? So good resistance is like the gym. It makes you stronger.
Right.
It's also texture and fun.
Yes.
So there's actually a good thing about resistance. Menopause is complete resistance.
Yes.
Like we can't pretend it's flow because it's not, because it's restructuring. So if
Yes.
you think we need to find flow in menopause, well,
It
you
won't
might
work.
be looking long and far, but meditation can create some flow in.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's not a flow state, menopause. I can tell you that. It doesn't look like a flow state. So there is resistance that we work with. And then there is reversal, which is going the wrong direction. It's like wanting to look like a 20-year-old, but scratching on 50. That is a reversal. It jinxes everything. It comes to a gridlock and it creates things like cancer.
Right.
Things like dementia. It's just like so much resistance.
Yes.
That it's actually going back the way.
Reversal, right.
And when you look at chakras, they can actually spin back the way and drain you.
Oh.
Uh-huh. So, and that's kind of like, so there's resistance, which is okay. We can kind of like dance with, right?
Yes.
And there's reversal, which we can't really dance with. We need to address it and turn it around, and then we can integrate it into resistance, which is fine.
Okay.
And then there is flow. The flow state is a yummy state. And if you try to get that happening while everything is kind of like in resistance, it's really hard. We create the flow state at nighttime.
Oh.
So you can have 6 hours, 7 hours, whatever, of flow state. And that's the easiest way of how to influence the rest of your life. It's by really programming your mind into having that ease. So yes, you still will have hot flushes, but you work with them at least at night in the way we've learned. You still have sleeplessness, and we will meet it differently. It's so much easier at night than it is while you're juggling life.
Yes. And that's it. So we've got to tune into that and really make it work for us. Well, I mean, Simona, thank you very much, because I mean, I think I'm at episode 115 or something when I'm recording this, and we have looked at menopause through different angles and self-development through different angles, etc. But somehow you have put it all together in a very beautiful and truly inspiring way. You make me feel proud to be in menopause, or I'm not in menopause. You're quite right. We use the term wrong the whole time. Menopause is the day it stops. So all of this pre-menopause, sometimes 10 years of going through different variations while we make our way to the day. But thank you very much for all of that. We will put all your details in the show notes, the details about you. And you have also authored an amazing book. Just mention the title for us.
It's the Empowered Butterfly Method, how to get from distress to hope in the time it takes to go to the bathroom, literally.
Right. Now, we will be interviewing Simona, of course, on this one too, but let's just add that so that we have the whole picture today. Now, just for the work that you do you call it coaching?
Well, it's inner wisdom coaching, but you're the wisdom.
So you take clients also online?
Yes, only online, worldwide. You need to apply because I can't work with everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Indeed, I understand that. And you're giving an awful lot of yourself in these sessions as well. So, I mean, yes. So please, for those of you listening out there, all the details will be in the show note. Maybe you just want to mention your website or how you want to be contacted also live now to the people who are looking at show notes. How can people get in touch with you, Simona?
Yeah. So my website is called meltmystress.com.
Haha. Perfect. Meltmystress.com. Now, who doesn't want that? Thank you, Simona. Have a lovely rest of the week. To the rest of you out there, enjoy this amazing episode. All the best to you all.
Yeah.
Bye.